My name is Lorena, and I'm a grateful member of Al-Anon. It is an honor to be here among this community who is always trying to grow. And I will begin with a simple outline of how it was, what happened, and how it is now. And I have to start with my parents because that's where it all began. They shaped who I am today. And my parents are first generation from Mexico. My dad was the first son of 6. My mom, the first daughter of 7, and later on became 16 total. Both had violent alcoholic fathers. My dad ran away from home at 9 because it was so bad, never came back to his home. And then at 12, he came to the U.S. My mom, being the first daughter, kind of was like my grandmother's surrogate mom, just taking care of everyone. Because, at that time, in that era, in that place, clothes are washed by hand, The corn is grinded before you make the tortillas, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of labor. And by 15, my mom was done. And from what I understand, her older brothers, 6, were all kind of violent and very possessive, and there's a lot of machismo. So she came to the U.S. at 15. They met in Chicago in their 20s and got married. And then I came along. And so what I witnessed as a child is this incredible will. It's like this will to achieve, to stay focused, to stay persistent, to be financially stable. And so my parents applied for citizenship before I was born. They finally became citizens when I was 16. But in between that time, my mom, she cleaned houses. My dad drove trucks. This is among also factory jobs and things like that. And my mom started bringing me with her to work when I was around 7, just with simple things. And by the time I was 12, I was able to clean a house by myself. By the time I was 15, she was sending me on a bus with supplies to go to places while she cleaned another house. When we both finished, she'd pick me up and we'd go to the third house. So we'd be back home by 9. So this is on the weekends. This is happening on weekends. This is happening on vacations, summers, Christmas, New Year's. My parents work 7 days a week. And I have memories of our home smelling like camphor because of the veterinarian horse balm that they'd put on their muscles every night. And they'd sleep on heating pads, electric heating pads, to just help the body recoup so they could do it again the next day. And so I watched this, and I just remember my little body just trying to keep up. And in an environment like that, there's no space for preferences. There's no space for me to express what I would like, or if I want a hug, or if I want a doll or anything like that. There's no space for that. It's anything like that gets in the way of what they're trying to accomplish. And nothing can get in the way of what they were trying to accomplish. So my parents were vehemently against alcohol. So when I would say things like, can't we just take a Sunday off and I don't know, just not work on a Sunday? They're like, and do what? Go to the bar? And I didn't know what a bar was. So I was like, but the intensity behind those kinds of responses is whoa, I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to ask again, and I guess we're going to do this on a Sunday. This is what we're doing. So so this was my home. My first language was Spanish, so I grew up in the school system in the suburbs of Illinois. There's no ESL at my generation and that time and that place. And so because of the environment and my home environment. And because of the situation at school, I intensely became hyper-focused on my environment. I intensely became focused on reading faces and trying to make out what you wanted from me. And so at school, it's reading lips, it's looking at their eyes, it's reading their body posture, it's looking at what they're pointing at and trying to put two and two together, and then looking at what the other kids are doing and going like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to do what they're doing, and I don't know what we're doing, but I'm just going to go along because I need to go because this is my environment. And it was just like that until probably around second grade when I started getting comfortable with English and actually started understanding everything. And it took me time to catch up with, I remember being in second grade and the teacher looking at me when she tested me about the alphabet, and I didn't know all of it. Somehow I managed to get by. And I was always really quiet. And at home, my parents, being very strong-willed people, both of them, there's a lot of fights. So they're a team, right? They're a team in this very ambitious pursuit of like acclimating to life here. And there's challenges because both my parents didn't get past like the 6th grade. So it's a lot of challenges. It's the language barrier, it's racism, it's them getting on each other's nerves, it's them signing papers that they don't completely understand, it's them depending on me to translate and I don't completely read. It's just a lot. So they would rage. And this is on top of, the trauma that they brought with them. So I only know all this because of the work I've done in the 12-step rooms. They would rage on each other. They would rage on me. And so my life growing up was hyper-focused on avoiding that. That was like death to me when they would focus their rage on me, because I could see the white all around their iris in those moments. It's like they were possessed, like overtaken with the rage. And I could feel every time like a little part, it felt like a little part of my soul just kind of like slipped away as a kid. I felt hated, even though that wasn't their, I'm sure it wasn't their intention. The end result is that's what I felt, hated. Hated by the people that I depended on to survive. Hated on by the people that created me. So that set the bar for my expectations on the world, on how they're going to treat me. Because if the people who created me see me as a damn burden, what can I expect from people who don't even know me yet? So this set the tone for my expectations on life and living and relationships and stuff. So I grow up and I'm very industrious, right? I'm very productive. I know how to organize time. I have memories of like at 12 at the end of a hallway of like a 5-bedroom home with a bucket full of water and Murphy's oil with a wet rag and then one dry rag. And there being like 4 doors, on the side of the hallway. And my mom saying, you have an hour and a half, be done, and I'll meet you. So knowing I have to go through each room, dusting it, I already know how to wipe things off with the wet, wipe things off with the dry to not let it streak. And just feeling this heavy burden on my little body, like I have to be hyper-focused. There's no room for like my thoughts. I just have to focus on the next object to wipe down, put in order, pick up from the ground, make it look tidy. And the hardest part, this is what I learned later in my step work, is as a kid, cleaning over the other kids' stuff. So my insides want to like spend time on this thing, on this toy, on this thing that I don't have, on this thing I've never seen, on this bright colored thing, and to like suppress the urge and just wipe over it and keep moving, And so at the end of the day, I'm thinking about all those objects that I wanted to spend more time on that aren't really mine, and I feel like an intruder. So I grew up, my parents are adamant that I need to go to college. And I did. And I go to college, and people are excited and like fun and like what's the word? Just effervescent and real playful, and I'm not used to that. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to do small talk. I was a loner as a kid. It was hard for me to have friendships as a kid growing up because I'm just exhausted all day when I'm in school anyway. So I go there and I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to make small talk. And the first man that gives me attention, it's kind of like I latch on. I don't know what to do with that. Like I find someone who is my comfort zone. Why is he my comfort zone? Because he is as perfectly demeaning as my parents were to me. I know how to be in an environment like that. I know my role. I am really good at anticipating what you want from me and giving it to you so that I can not be hurt. And that's all I know. That's all I know. And I don't know how to answer the question when people say, so what do you like to do? Like, what do you do on the weekends? What do you do for fun? Like, that is so uncomfortable for me. It is so uncomfortable. I want to just crawl under a rock because I don't have the answer. No one's ever asked me anything about me and what I think, want, prefer, like, don't like. I don't have answers to those questions. I feel so inept. And I feel like I'm a fish out of water. But this man couldn't care less what the hell I want, think, want, prefer. He's very comfortable telling me what I should be doing. And we're like hand in glove. So I'm in my first year of college. He's on his second master's degrees. He's 9 years older than me. I meet him at 18. He convinces me that he creates like a false sense of urgency. I know that now. That his visa is going to expire, and he'll be shipped out away. And how could I let that happen? We get married. I need to say the truth, so that's what happened. And I somehow intuitively knew, I couldn't verbalize it, that if I didn't do that, he would kind of smear my name, because I had already had relations with him, and I felt so ashamed about that. And I thought, if I don't do it, he's going to do that. And I don't have social skills, right, to like defend myself or talk about it or ask for help. I don't even know how to verbalize the scary thing that's happening between us, where he calls me 10 times in 10 minutes asking me where I am. And that happens every single day. Like, I don't even know how to put that into words to say, I don't understand this. This is scary. Can you help me? I don't even know how to say that. So we get married. And we basically, I successfully recreate my home life, but it's scarier because my parents were predictable. My parents were kind of like, they come home from work, and they're really cranky and tired. Or I'm at work with my mom, and I know that if I don't do things according to how she likes, she will explode on me in front of her other workers. Like, that's predictable. It's in your face. It's really obvious. What he presented me with was talking to me in a sweet tone of voice, letting me know how exactly, precisely replaceable I am. And then reminding me that he wanted 2 spoons of sugar in his coffee. And get right to it, honey. It's a whole different world. I am not used to that. And all I know is that my body craves the tone of his voice. My body craves a sweet tone of voice, because I never received that. I never received comfort. He would hug me and whisper these kinds of things and let me know that my meal that I created was a failure, in that tone of voice. And so it was like an absolute violation on all these levels, but it's so subtle. So he also drank, and things got physically violent. So this is 2001, we get married. 2008, I leave him because it got so physically violent. And I let him know, I say, let's do a sabbatical. Let's just be away from each other for 1 year. I won't go with anybody else. You don't go with anybody else. And we'll see if we can come back and make this work. So in that time, he finds AA. And we do a check-in maybe like at the 7th month mark. And he's like, oh, Al-Anon, did you know about this? Maybe you should try it out. And I'm like, okay, I'll try it out. So he is going there, and it's impressive, the kind of things that he's telling me. And so I start going, and it gives me hope. So we get back together at the end of that 1 year mark. And he, 6 months after I get back with him, he stops, and I continue. So this is where things changed. So I have never been, up until that point, in an environment where people speak vulnerably. Like, it's foreign to me. It was probably like 4 months of attending and not saying anything for me to feel like I have anything to say, but more than anything for my body just to acclimate. Because I'm fully, for that amount of time before I started speaking, I fully was scanning the room every single time. For that full hour, I was watching people speak, and then I'd look at their face and be like, wait, they don't follow that up with a joke? It's like, real? They actually feel that? And then I would scan the room and be like, I'm expecting chuckles, I'm expecting a joke, I'm expecting smirks, and it doesn't happen. And I'm really surprised, and I don't know what to do in this kind of environment where people are like genuine, because I've never experienced it. And where people speak their heart, and they'll speak gnarly, painful situations, and no one is rushing to physically console them, interrupt them midway, and go here. That's not happening. People are like speaking their truth, and it just stands there. And then another person speaks their truth, and it just stands there. And I'm like, what is this? So it took 3 months for me to start to believe it. It took 3 months for me to believe it. And then to get used to the fact that there's a predictable format to it. Because I wasn't used to anything predictable, because up until that point, everything was chaos all the time. And I'm always, catching the next drama, the next shoe's gonna fall. And that's just how I was living. And this was predictable. The steps are read, the traditions are read, then people talk, no one speaks over each other, then there's a closing every single time. And I was like, wow, and then I could feel like, it's almost like a coil in my stomach, just like uncoil very slowly. And then things started to change, and I heard about sponsorship, and I was like, all right. I remember I picked my sponsor because she spoke her truth. It was something horrible that happened, something gnarly. She cried, and it wasn't like crocodile tears, There's no manipulation behind it. Again, all new to me, this pure expression. And there was no self-pity in her expression. I was like, who are you? What are you made of? How did you get there? How can you say something so painful that you experience? It's like you got gutted and you have no self-pity, not a trace. Like, what? I want that. I know I want that. So I asked her to be my sponsor, got to work, started to learn what the work was, and got busy with service and changed my lifestyle, because that's what I needed to do to physically make these meetings and make them more than just like dabble, do more than just dabble in them. Because one thing I knew is that when I got to these meetings at a certain point, because when he started leaving the AA and I continued, it got to a threshold where it's like, well, if you don't believe in it, why should I believe in it? But the things at home got so bad, I was like, I'm either going to kill him or kill myself, honestly. That's what's going to happen. It's something's going to end up on the news. It's not an exaggeration. And those kinds of situations are not rare in my family. They're not rare. Alcoholism is everywhere. There's been atrocities. There's violent things where people snap and they're intoxicated. It happens all. It's still happening. So I started working the program like my butt was on fire because I was like, I don't want to go to jail. So I started doing the work, and when I got for the fourth step, that was a real juncture of like, do you mean it? How much do you want this? Because the fourth step got so uncomfortable. I was incredulous at the discomfort because I wasn't used to this kind of discomfort. I'm used to the discomfort of survival. I'm not used to the discomfort of inquiry, and the discomfort of inquiry is a whole nother level. It's a whole different kind of discomfort. It's deeper. I'm now faced with myself. There's no one to blame. And I felt incredulous for some. I was insulted. I was like, I didn't come here like for more pain. Like, I came here for the relief of pain. I didn't come here for more. Like, what is this? And my sponsor was so encouraging. And she's like, Lorena, just keep at it, honey. Don't stop. I know it's uncomfortable, but I promise, you have to believe me. It's going to get better. You have to believe me. And I experienced things that I didn't understand. For example, I'd like write for 15 minutes and then need to nap. I'd feel so tired. I'd feel as tired as if I like shoveled a driveway of snow or something in Illinois in the middle of January. Like this, all I did was write. It doesn't make sense to me. And she was loving and comforting and encouraging, but still held me accountable and was like, honey, I promise it's going to get better. Just keep going. And I did that. It took me a year. And because of the sponsorship that I had, I was introduced to the column method. There's many ways to do the fourth step. Find what works for you. I have tried many ways after trying it that way, and I have found that it works for me, so I stick to it. I just need to do what works. That's all I know, and that works. So I did the fourth step, did my fifth step, and when I read my fifth step to my sponsor, it was like going over my insides with a fine-tooth comb and like putting it on her lap. Sorry for that. Putting it on her lap and being like, and her feedback was feedback that I had never heard before. She pointed to me certain things that I had told her about that to me I had amplified by 10 as my responsibility. I felt so guilty about. She was like, honey, that wasn't yours. And I was like, what? I've been holding on for this for years. What do you mean? That's not yours. That wasn't even your responsibility, honey. And she would explain it, and I'd be like, oh my God. And then there were things that I glazed over, and she's like, oh, that is yours. I'd be like, how? Like what? And she'd explain. She'd be like, your primary purpose in that situation with your role in that position was this, and this is what you decided. That is yours. And I was like, oh my God. Like, to have someone who's so clear about how to live a principled life and what that looks like in different situations. Like in this situation, this is how it looks to be of integrity, Lorena. And in that, at work, with your cousin, with your mom, with your husband, with your little sister. And I presented all these different situations of complexity because we're so good at that as humans, right? I presented them to her, and she's like, this is the primary purpose in that situation. This was your role. This was your responsibility. This is where you deviated in exactness like that. I wasn't used to that. It blew my world open to know that people can live in clarity like that. And I felt alleviation. So I continued with the program. And I was told, because I wanted to divorce him, I was told to just give it 1 year of working the program before you make that big decision. And within 3 years, we were invited from our community of faith to go live in a spiritual center. And this was part of our community of faith. My spiritual teacher, her name is Amma, and she has a spiritual center in Elburn, and I've been living there now for about 12 years. And there's a lot of service work. There's a lot of like feeding of, homeless people, food donations, clothes donations, jacket donations, and so this center was just starting, and I threw myself into it, and I knew that I couldn't do, because we were moving from Chicago to Elburn, Illinois. And so I thought, well, it's still spiritual. Like, I don't think I can do both. And I had a toddler at the time now. He's 3, and he was 3 and very energetic. And I was like, golly, I'm going to be helping with all the service work to get this, center started. And I don't think I can do 3 meetings a week, because that's what I was doing. I said, we all meditate together and pray together and sing together, and it's beautiful, and then we go do service. I'm like, it's still spiritual. I think I'll be okay. What ended up happening was I felt myself grow as a person. I started to learn about myself and my strengths, because I was asked to pick up different services that I've never done before, and I loved it. And I loved the spirituality of being in group and like doing things together and meditating, praying, and all this together. And I didn't understand how he became more intolerable to me. Because up until that point, before I left Al-Anon, I was in it for about 4 years, I was starting to have acceptance about a lot of things. And even though I was aware that, I think I'm going to be looking at a divorce lawyer and just looking at my options. That's the point that I was at before we moved. I still had peace about it all. I had peace, and that's like precious. And we moved, and I thought, oh, this might be good for us. This might be good for us as a family. Like, I'm good in this program, but this might be good for all of us, because he left AA. What I didn't know is that he started drinking secretly. You're not supposed to drink there. There's no intoxicants allowed living there at all. He was doing that. And he became more intolerable to me. So here I am, like at a shelter, serving, loving these people, loving them up. I am so happy to be of service. And then I get a text from him, and I go from 0 to 100. 0 to 100. This person that was doing the service is gone. And I want to hurt him. And it's like I'm at square one. I'm at square one again in this area of my life. I don't understand. Why can't the blessings here just kind of translate there? I don't understand. So I asked for advice from my spiritual teacher, and I was like, this is where we're at. Oh my God, I don't understand. She's like, I think you need to go to see a therapist for your marriage. And I went, and she's like, you need Al-Anon. And I was like, right. Of course. And I started working the program again. Now, mind you, here's the thing, is that my life didn't go back to like the desperation that I reached the first time I came. And I truly believe that it's because of like these pillars that the 12 Steps is founded on are like universal. Service. Connect to God in your own way every day, These are really strong pillars for like a fulfilling life. So I feel like they kept me from slipping completely into where I was before I came to Al-Anon. But it wasn't enough. Clearly, it wasn't enough. And what I have come to accept is that Al-Anon has a very specific medicine for a very specific wound that I have. That's just, didn't have to expect. I can't find it anywhere else. There's a very specific medicine to be found in these rooms where people are speaking openly about the blessings and the challenges of dealing with this disease of alcoholism. I need to hear it. I need it to go into my ears. I need to hear the truth that other people have to offer about their experience. And the truth is that I have found is that even though I love my community of faith, they're good-hearted, wholesome people with strong moral compasses, who are very good helpers. Some of them could use these rooms. There is no understanding of the disease. There's no understanding of, they don't have understanding of this disease. And even with their good intentions and love of me, because now it's been 12 years, I know these people, I love them. They love me. It's like they can't help themselves. They don't have this knowledge. They haven't gone through like this transformation that Al-Anon provides. And so I just observe things that come up with other people's isms and the judgment that comes up. And it's like, there it is. It's rearing its head. It's just in a different way, but it's rearing its head. And a lot of people who are there have survived situations of addiction, you know, if they come from families and things like that. And like, there it is. It's rearing its head. So all I know is I need this program. And if anyone ever asks me, hey, Lorena, when it comes to this, what are you doing? I will be ready and I will share. It hasn't happened. So I just keep showing up to what I need to show up to. And how it is now. So yesterday, I was driving Father Tom here. It was a privilege to pick him up from the airport. I'm so glad he was able to make it here. He's a fantastic speaker. He'll be speaking later this weekend. And he said something I found so profound and true. And he said that when you reach like a certain level, and it might not be completely in his words, I might be missing something. So if you're here, Father Tom, I'm sorry. He said, when you reach a certain level of health, you start to visit all your empty spaces. So what that looks like for me is about 2 years ago, I came to a place in my recovery, and I remember saying this to my therapist, looking at her, and being like, I am feeling the most safe, the most supported, the most celebrated, the most like self-expressed, fulfilled, purposeful, peaceful, loved, embraced I have ever felt in my whole entire life. I'm like full. And stuff started happening. It's like the universe said, okay, you're ready. You're healthy enough now to visit some empty spaces that you did not know were there. So, stuff started coming up, and because I've been in the program and I feel like the work has given me enough health and like mental discernment to understand myself, I noticed that stuff started happening where I have very intense reactions and the environment is not behaving intensely. And my intensity is very specifically coming from a memory from childhood. And mind you, this memory, like this memory is something that I have gone over ad nauseum with my therapist. I had done many fourth steps around. I have shared at meetings. For whatever reason, this memory is coming up and it's electric in its rawness and pain. And I was like talking to my therapist going, what? I thought, like, what, has all my work been a lie? I feel like I'm back, like I'm reliving these things. And she's like, honey, it's your being saying you're ready now to address like a deeper level of how bad it actually was. Now you're ready to start to accept and like grieve. And so I started attending a little bit more ACA, because this very specifically had to do with my childhood. And that's been a journey of grieving. And it's an interesting place to be, because it's like I'm able to hold these contradictions of, I understand my parents and my family more, and I see them as human. I know my father was someone's little boy. My mom was someone's little girl, and this guy and this girl got together, and they just did what they could, right? I understand that, and I have compassion for them, and yet I'm, as an adult, having to navigate these, like, emotional habits in me, mental habits that come up that surprise me as a result of what I lived. Regardless of the fact that I have this compassion for them and love for them, it doesn't matter. I still have to wrestle with the effects of what I lived. And so to like hold both, it's a different place. Here I am. And I feel like it's a privilege to do this work, because coming from what I have lived, I know that my parents didn't have that privilege. I know that there's a big sector of humans on this planet that might not ever have the privilege to start working on their inner traumas because they're too busy surviving physically. So it's a privilege for me to do this work. It's an honor. It's a gift. It's a gift that I made it to these rooms. It's a gift that everyone is in the rooms too, so that we can have a meeting and we can talk and share and love each other. And hopefully we keep showing up so that when those people who one day will have the opportunity to start working on their insides, like, those meetings will be available for them because we kept showing up, you know. But yeah, it's been a grieving for me. Specifically, it's been a whole nother level of program for me. About 2 years ago, a man entered my orbit and tested my sobriety. I have been unpartnered for like 6 years now. I did divorce my husband. It happened last year, and it was peaceful. When I finally signed the papers, it took a few years, like 4 years, of doing it, because every little step I was trying to work program, every little tiny step. Before I texted, talking to my sponsor, saying a prayer, like every single one. So it was really slow. And this was also because the history proved that if he got angry at me, he would drag our son into it. And so my parents would be a little impatient. I had family members like, Lorena, just get aggressive with the lawyer and handle this shit. Like, put him in his place. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, it's our son. And so it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Like, I just need to focus on the next step. That's it. I just need to focus on the next step, do it as best as I can, and that's all I know. Because I'm not going to risk him being dragged into this and being dragged in the dirt, you know. And so what resulted was fourth steps ad nauseum during that process. And then finally, when we signed off on the divorce, it felt so light and peaceful and quiet inside me. And it has remained that way. It's almost like I didn't leave any stone left unturned when it came to us. And so on the day when I finally signed off, it just felt right and good and light, and it has remained that way. And it's worth it. It was worth it, the peace of like cutting that tie. And my son being healthy, like he's in track, and he has hobbies, and he has friends, and he's busy. And that to me is a testament. Like, it's worth it, you know? So I've been unpartnered for 6 years happily, living my life, being loved up by my friends, loving up on them, busy with service, a full-time job, and this person comes along, and I start to feel unsober. And luckily, because I've been in the program as long as I have, I know what sober feels like. I know what emotionally sober feels like. So even though this person came into my world and the intoxication was enjoyable, I knew it was dangerous. And I was like, I don't want to I don't want any unsobriety because I know it's not real. I know it doesn't last. I know it has risks. And I'm so grateful for the community of people that are in my life. They are people that hold me accountable, that love me, that know my heart, and they tell me the truth. And so I had people like that around me that were like I would tell them, I'd be all giddy like a girl and be like, honey, I love you. These are red flags. And I'd be like, for real? They'd be like, yes. I'd be like, oh, shit. And then it would slow me down, and I'd take a pause, and I'd be like, damn it, I have to explore, okay? Because I trust them, and I want people to tell me the truth. I don't want people to tell me what I want to hear. I don't want people to tell me the sugar-coated version. I want them to say no. And what ended up happening is that this person came to reveal themselves as very dangerous. So it had me really questioning once again, where I thought, what did I do all these years with all this? How could I worked so hard to reach the peace that I had in my life. I sacrificed so much for the peace that I had in my life. And I was willing to just let it slip. And I was willing to abandon myself for this person who was dangerous. And so again, back to the program, back to the inventory. I just feel lucky that nothing happened, that I backpedaled before there was a relationship, before there was dates and going into this person's car. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that this program kept me safe. This program helped me steward and care for this precious gift of serenity that I have worked so hard for. And I feel like that's the blessing, is that the steps are work. They're not comfortable. It's surgery. But the discomfort has a purpose, because when I'm at a place where I have to make a decision and I'm tempted to toy with a little bit of unintegrity, I know how much work it'll take for me to get back. Because I have experienced it. It's painful. It's painful. It's really hard to do amends to people after hurting them. You didn't mean it, looking them in the eyes, because that's step 9, did that. Being like, I was selfish, I was inconsiderate, I only wanted what I wanted, and I'm sorry, and I want to make it right, and I owe you an amends. It's hard. And then sometimes they'll come back and have things to say, and you gotta receive it. So it's like I have this memory in my body of remember that? And so when I'm presented with a choice of ooh, that looks shiny, it's like, oh, honey, remember all of this. It's like, yes, let's just not do that. Let's get our butt in a meeting. Let's go make a phone call instead. And the situation now is that I'm aware of other women that are now in danger. They're trying to backpedal out of dangerous situation because of this man. So, yeah, what else can I continue to need the program. I have peace in my life. I have so many gifts. It's definitely a time of harvest right now, of blessings. And I know that in order for me to care for that, in order for me to care for these blessings and tend to them and help them grow, I need the program. I need to keep coming back. To keep making sober decisions, I need people around me that love me to keep telling me the truth. Because to whom much is given, much is expected. It's like the stakes are higher. It's like there's more preciousness in my life, so I need to care for it, even that, carefully and tenderly. And safe space. I have people in my life that I touch base with regularly. So if I don't get a chance to do the readers, we have a scheduled time to chat. I have a friend that I've known for about 15 years. She's in the program as well. Her name is Alex. Hi, Alex. I love you. We talk every week. We've been doing that for about 15 years now. And she's my safe space. And a few years back when COVID happened, I felt like I needed way more because I didn't know what was going to happen with all the programs falling, the meetings not happening. Reached out, and now ever since COVID, been talking to my dear friend Sarah, and we've been talking regularly. It's another touchstone of safe space, of checking in with each other, of saying the truth. Aside from the meetings, aside from talking to my sponsor, aside from talking to my sponsees. There's a lot in my life. My life is very full right now, and so there's a lot of hustling in between activities. So sometimes I'm a little cranky while I'm hustling in between. Hustle to, after work, make the track meet for my son, be there, ready with the camera on video and then hustle to the meeting online, hustle for get ready in a quiet space to receive a call from a sponsee, make sure dinner's ready before I make the call, before I'm ready for the call, get the load of lunch, these kind of. But once I'm in the space, I'm always grateful. I'm there. I'm always grateful I listened to that sponsee. Always grateful I made it to the meeting, because every single time I get something. And sometimes it's just hearing these voices that have become so familiar over the years. Sometimes I don't even, I'll be so wrapped up in the do of what I got to do. I'm not actually registering the words that they're saying. All I know is I hear their voice. And so my body's like an exhale, just because it's a regular voice that I've been listening to for years, and it's just allowing me to breathe. I know I'm safe in that space. And when in that space, I start to have new thoughts, not my regular on my own thoughts. And I'll see something slightly different. And then I'll leave the meeting and I'll be like, oh, let's do that slightly different little thing of that new idea that came in. That's the power of the program. I continue to need safe space, and the world is crazy. If you haven't noticed, it's continuing to get more crazy. So I continue to need this program, and I want to continue to show up. So it'll be there for others. It's a privilege to be here. I hope you keep showing up to your program. It's worth it. The more safe we are, we can be that safety for other people that might decide to come into the program. And we can all be safer people to be around, The world needs the 12 steps. So thank you for allowing me to be of service.